All right, we are at the top of the hour, or 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for me. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming to the 2022 RDAP Business Meeting. Woo! Last session of the RDAP Summit 2022. So just some logistics. This is a Zoom webinar. Attendees are muted and your cameras are turned off. To ask questions, please use the Q&A in Zoom. And for most, it is at the bottom of the screen. This session is going to run for the hour. If we are done early, that is great. We are currently recording, so if you need to jump out, it'll be available later for you to view. And we will have time for questions at the end of the session. And if there is a particular person that you would like to direct a question to, please make sure to put that in the question that you are putting into the Q&A. And if there's any questions that we don't get to, we will move those questions over to Huba to answer and continue the conversation. The Research Data Access and Preservation Summit organizers are committed to providing an environment where all attendees can participate fully in the program and activities without fear of harassment or discriminatory behavior of any kind. There are code of conduct helpers during the session, Reed and Emily, who you can contact directly through Huva if you need any assistance, and they can give you the code of conduct email address or a link to the incident report form if needed. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Jonathan.
Okay, hello, quick mic check. You can hear me? Good, okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the business meeting, as Tess just said. I'm Jonathan Petters, current president of RDAP. And here I have listed the other members of our executive board. We'll actually see their faces on a slide in just a little bit, so I'll just move ahead and say welcome, and we'll get started. So the agenda, well, this is what we're going to go through. Some executive board updates on things that RDAP has been working on, specifically around our strategic plan. Then we'll go into some action committee updates. Each action committee or co-chairs or chairs will be able to have a minute or two to talk about the accomplishments they have made within their committees, do a couple of announcements in between these things and at the end, and as Tess said, have some time for Q&A. So here is our executive board. So you've already met me. I'm at Virginia Tech. Our president-elect, who will be president in July, is Amy Koshover from the University of Cincinnati. Treasurer is Patricia Condon at the University of New Hampshire. Our secretary is Rachel Woodbrook at Michigan. And our past president, who was just president last year, is Jen Dara from Duke University. So there is our executive board. Not all of us. So talk about our work towards our strategic plan. So if you didn't know, the RDAP Association as an independent organization is rather young. It broke off from ASIST in 2018, 2019, and soon thereafter created a short strategic plan for the next 5 years. It's a 3-page document. It's linked here. You'll have a link to the slides. It's not a long document, so I recommend taking a look at it to seeing what our general goals are and some of the sub-goals. Here are the high-level goals we set in the strategic plan: maturing the RDAP business organization and its processes, providing value to the RDAP member community, working towards fostering diversity, inclusion, and developing a welcoming climate, and working on it, enabling advocacy and creating new external partnerships. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that we've done this year, from July 1 last year to so far this year, towards these separate main goals. So first, around business operations, things we've done this year. Move to a paid membership model, gotten that started, and have some income coming in or associated with our membership, and that's great. Thanks very much to the membership committee for that. We now have a budget request and approval process for helping RDAP action committees. They have initiatives that require funding, a way and a process by which we can make that happen, and gotten that rolled out. We've continued helping other affiliated organizations and other affiliated events like the Southeast Data Librarian Symposium to host their registration and payment processing. So helping out other organizations affiliated with us. Thanks to Rachel and a lot of hard work on her part, gotten our Google Workspace set up for our organization, and also set up LastPass for password management across the RDAP leadership. So makes both of these things are going to make it much easier as we move from new chairs and new leadership organization folks moving in and moving out. It'll be much easier to transfer permissions and access to data and stuff. And that's really going to be nice. A lot of streamlining, a lot of important streamlining here. So providing RDAP value to RDAP members, goal 2. We've seen a lot of this. The summit, which has gone off fantastically in my opinion. We have RDAP scholarships, many scholarship participants here, webinars throughout the year. We have a newsletter. We've got a journal club, which we just heard about here at the summit. Listservs that are very active and where people can share information. All wonderful value to the RDAP community. Here, new things we've done this year are we have recently set up honoraria for summit workshop conveners here. So to compensate them for some of their hard work in getting the workshops working. And we're hoping to branch that out and have that mechanism available for other people providing content, quality content to the RDAP community. Also developing a way to get awards to the RDAP community, awards for different things, rolling that out this year as well. So new values coming out amongst all the other value already provided. Towards promoting diversity, inclusion, and a welcoming climate, we finalized our code of conduct. You've heard about it many times during the summit here. It's a code of conduct not just for the summit, but a code of conduct for the RDAP organization as a whole. It's online, and we're happy that we have it up. We're working towards increasing accessibility to RDAP content, RDAP materials, summit materials, through the development of a fellowship, bringing in an accessibility fellow to give us recommendations that we can then enable and implement going forward. So working on that. And we also have an action committee established to work on DEIA, stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Anti-Racism. Just got that established and stood up earlier this year, and that's going to be a real nice addition. Along those lines, we have to thank our previous task force in those areas of diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism very much. Thanking the chair, Margaret Henderson, and the other task force members, Tricia Adamus, Elizabeth Johnston, Amy Schuler, and Teresa Schultz, in developing recommendations for what RDAP should do towards these goals. And one of their main recommendations was, hey, we should have an action committee that we can use as a focal point to address these issues and make sure that as a young organization, we're growing with fully thinking about through diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism in mind. So thank you very much to all of you. And we're looking forward to seeing what this new action committee does. We'll hear more about it at the very near the end when we go through the action committee highlights. So that's great. And then to goal 4, around working on advocacy and external partnerships. We responded to a couple of requests for information. One on scientific integrity from the Office of Science and Technology Policy, using like an angle of open science and open research, open data are foundational for scientific integrity. Responded also to a RFI from the NIH on developing consent language for future use of data and biospecimens. We were able to start enabling a partnership this year with FASB, which is the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology. RDAP members getting involved in their data management planning challenge. FASB has been very interested this year in trying to get their affiliated organizations to be more involved in data management. And they reached out to RDAP, and we're able to have members who are more biomedically inclined and biologically inclined be involved in helping that their communities with data management. So that's fantastic, being able to leverage our community's expertise for the helping out other domain-related organizations like FASB. We've also had discussions with the Data Curation Network about ways we might work more together going forward, and also with the NIH around their data management and sharing policy and pending policy and what guidance we might be able to help them develop. So good things been done towards advocacy as well this year. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Patty here, talk a little bit about our finances. Go ahead, Patty.
Yep. Hi, Patty Condon, treasurer of RDAP. So I added a couple of extra. So this is the finances as of February 23rd. So we run a fiscal year from July 1 to June 30th. So the numbers here don't account for March through June, and so they don't account for the full summit. Just to note that. I added a couple of extra lines because I thought that members might be interested in membership fees and conference income. So those are pulled out there. And then as well as our bank balance. So we have currently $50,000 in the bank. Membership fees has accounted for just over $8,000. Conference income around just about $8,000. When we think about keeping the lights on for RDAP, that's something that we've been talking about in the board, right? And we're thinking about that number probably being around the $10,000 mark, right? So with our bank account right now, we're also trying to figure out what is that sweet spot in terms of how much money we should have in the bank, so that we can make sure that if we have a low membership year or a sort of the conference that doesn't bring in any income, then we'll be able to sort of ride that out. But with the bank account that we have, we're in very good shape, and we've been able to open that up so that we can think about these budget requests from the action committees as a way to help the action committees and RDAP meet our goals. Think about the ideas for meeting the needs of membership, and also adding value to membership as well. If you have any questions about this or would like to see more details, you can reach out to me. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, great, Patty. Thank you. And of course, got questions right now, feel free to dump them in the Q&A. We'll address as many as we can, of course. Okay. Next slide, I believe, Rachel, this is on you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, John mentioned earlier, we've moved over into a Google workspace for our internal documentation, but we also do have a lot of documentation that's available publicly through the Open Science Framework. And that includes descriptions of all of the board positions and committees, the summit materials. Not all of them are up yet, obviously, but those will be linked on the OSF, as well as the videos being available in a friendlier format on YouTube. But I will link the OSF meeting for the conference is separate from the OSF site for the organization. But that is linked from the homepage, so you can get to it from there. And then we also archive our newsletter, and our executive board and leadership team meeting minutes are always available for public viewing there, as well as our bylaws.
Okay. So that's great. Yeah, we're trying to, part of a business is trying to be as transparent as possible. And so everything being available online, if you want to look at it and you have any questions on that, please do. That's what it's here for. Want to learn more or learn more about the action committees and what the board does, please take advantage. Okay, next, I believe, what we're doing after the summit, I believe Amy.
This is me. So we're going to spend some time thinking forward and also in reflection. So I'll talk a little bit more about the elections and action committee recruitment in the next slide, but that's coming soon. We're also going to be looking at the bylaws and thinking about any revisions that we need to do. Given again that we're a young organization, things are changing. We need to be reflective on that and consider what we need to do. We're also going to be evaluating how the summit went. I think, like John said, it's been fantastic from my view, but you have also your own opinions and may want to contribute. I think there's going to be a survey that'll go out collecting feedback. So we'll be looking at that feedback and evaluating the summit and planning for the next year's summit, which I guess I'm announcing is going to be virtual on this slide. So yeah, just to be prepared for that. So next slide. As to the elections, there was one email that went out already calling for nominations, and we've had some people step forward to respond to that. But we will be calling for nominations until April 8th. And then especially for the secretary and president-elect. Again, if you want to know more about these positions, you can look at the documentation, or you can contact the people that hold those positions, so Rachel and I for these two that are right now, or you can talk to anybody that's been on the executive committee beforehand. So please reach out if you're interested and have questions. And we're then going to hold the elections from April 19th to April 30th. You must be a current member in good standing to run as well as vote. So we hope that you've enjoyed the summit enough and you'll consider becoming a member if you're not already, and you'll be able to participate. We really want to encourage all voices. So please consider either running and voting because we really need to hear from everyone. Also at that time, we'll be including a call for people that want to volunteer to join an action committee. And again, if you want to know more about that, you can look at the documentation or speak directly to the people who hold the chairs of those positions or are on the committees.
All right, great. Thank you, Amy and Rachel and Patty. All right. So now, after those are all the updates from the executive board, what we're going to do is go into action committee updates, one after the other. And I'll just ask everyone when you're done with your action committee updates, you need next slide, so say next slide, but then also say you're done so we can move to the next action committee, please. Okay, so without further ado, the first one up will be our Tess and Amelia regarding conference planning. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm sure you recognize our names, our faces, our voices from attending the summit, but hello again, I'm Amelia. I'm one of the co-chairs on the Conference Planning Action Committee. I'm joined with my fellow co-chair, Tess. And we'll talk briefly about what our committee does and what we have done this year. So we start a little bit earlier than other committees. We start in May, and our committee works for 1 year. Our co-chairship is a 2-year term. So this is my second year, so I'll be rotating off. Tess will be around for another summit. And so I'm sure you'll see her again. But this year we planned our second virtual RDAP Summit, which hopefully you have all enjoyed and have had fun participating in. We added electronic posters back into this summit and are testing that out for the first time. And we also transitioned to a virtual conference platform, Whova, which again, you have all been able to interact with, and we hope that you have enjoyed. Throughout planning for this summit, we received and reviewed 54 proposals. And from that, we were able to create a great program of lightning talks, posters, multiple presentations, a panel, and add some fun social activities throughout for you to participate in. As Amy said, please stay tuned for a post-summit survey that we'll be sending out immediately after to collect your feedback and to really help us hone in on what we can improve upon or add or fine-tune for our next summit in 2023. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Tess to add some of our thank yous.
Yeah, so we just wanted to give a huge thank you, first off, to our volunteers, because we are not able to put this conference on without a lot of help. So first off, from our lovely volunteers that were moderating our social sessions, helping to moderate the chat, as well as address any technological issues. So really big round of applause for all our volunteers. But we'd also like to give a huge shout out to, next slide, please, our very awesome conference planning committee that worked all year long to help put this together. They did a lot of the heavy lifting. They're also moderating sessions and helping to fill in for any like chat moderation or anything. They were amazing and went above and beyond. And so we are so thankful for all the support they were able to give us this year. And thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the conference.
Sponsorship.
Hi, I am Shannon Farrell, and you'll see my face there on the slide, along with my co-chair, Wanda Marsalik. We are a small committee, but as I like to say, mighty committee. And before I even get started, since we don't have everyone else's pictures on here, I just wanted to say thank you to Angel, Barbara, and Doreen. The work of the sponsorship committee is really around raising money from our sponsors, which reduces our summit's registration costs, can create scholarship opportunities, as you see here. And it also works to frame how RDAP and its sponsors and supporters interact and collaborate. So the duties of the committee typically consist of emailing and communicating with sponsors, conference calls, and lots of follow-up and reporting. This year, we raised $6,775 for the summit that we are at right now. That was from 12 sponsors out of 74 that we contacted. It is our second year in raising money for a virtual conference, following up on the work of last year. We adapted the sponsorship tiers from last year, and we used a tool called Wild Apricot for our invoicing. And obviously, we used Whova for sponsor tabling and networking opportunities, which I hope that everyone was able to take advantage of. This was our second year of supporting scholarships, and we were able to sponsor 21 not only conference registrations, but also RDAP memberships. And we are glad to both help bring in new members and allow people to attend the conference. And that is it for me. So next slide.
Great, Shannon. Okay, marketing.
Hi, everyone. This is Elena. Laura and I are the current co-chairs of the marketing committee. Just to give you an idea of what we do, as you can see on the slide here, the main bulk of what we do is just promoting events and news, anything about RDAP to members like you, and also just potential members as well. We've been trying to reach out to like iSchools, for example. And we primarily use email, Twitter, and you've probably seen our blog. And if not, check it out on the RDAP website. You've probably seen our great small committee out there throughout the conference, tweeting and retweeting things that you yourself have tweeted as we went along. So if you're interested in Twitter in particular, keep that in mind if you're interested in joining marketing. Also, we just announced this earlier during the summit, we've created a storefront on Cafe Press, if you're familiar with that site, in order to sell RDAP branded merchandise. We just started it. So we didn't really have a chance to promote it before the summit. We're still trying to work out some of the kinks, but it is up and running, and you'll be hearing more about that really soon. So stay tuned for that. And one thing that we're working on that's sort of a bigger project and that's ongoing is we are working on a marketing plan, and we've gotten great feedback from the rest of leadership and from the executive board. So if that's something that you are knowledgeable about and would like to participate in, that's what we're going to be focusing on really for the next coming year. Another thing we're going to be looking at is reevaluating our communication workflows. So we have a long list of various groups that we contact to promote RDAP. And so we're going to be kind of thinking about that in the next year too, and how we could best market ourselves outside of the organization. So just to kind of conclude, if you really like graphic design in particular, we have we always are creating little things to share through Twitter or through other venues when we share news. If you're interested in that, or if you're great with Twitter, or you'd like the idea of copywriting, feel free to join marketing next year. If you have any questions about that, you can contact us using our email there on the slide or on the website, or you can reach out to Laura or myself. Laura is going to be stepping off, so I'm looking for a co-chair as well. So if that's something that appeals to you, keep that in mind. And thanks. Thanks for the entire marketing team for keeping everything going on Twitter during this conference.
Yes, thank you very much to all of you for your work. Thank you very much, Elena, for the update. And we'll move along to the website committee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Harp. I'm a member of the committee. I am not Sawyer or Reed, our wonderful chairs. They could not make the meeting today, but so I'm representing, and also I believe on the call, Megan O'Donnell, one of my fellow colleagues in the web committee member, is also on the call in case I miss anything. Basically, yeah, we're sort of a year-round committee that works on the website. So which was mentioned earlier, Wild Apricot, that is the platform that we use. We transitioned to Wild Apricot, I think a couple of years ago, from our early version of WordPress, which is representation of how RDAP has grown actually now that we have this like membership management platform that we work within. We work on the security concerns. We work between different units, particularly like summit planning, membership, et cetera, sponsorship. We work with our chairs attend the executive board meetings. If you were a scholarship winner or a speaker of sorts, we processed your registration for the summit. We also had assisted with the Settles conference One of the things we're working on too is really, we've worked on improving the web architecture, even the drop-down menus and navigation of the site. We're trying to make it more usable. There's obviously, it's always a work in progress. We're always receptive to feedback and concerns about the website. We've launched an internet that will help the leadership communicate amongst themselves. And also, again, we're continuing with web testing. I think the big thing that we're looking forward to, and it's noted on the slide, is we need new membership. So we're going to need new chairs next year. We do have some members that are going to be dropping off. So there's going to be lots of vacancies here in the web committee. I don't know, Megan, if you can unmute. I don't know if there's anything else we want to say, but that's pretty much it for a website.
Yeah,
become a member.
I can just say that we mostly work with troubleshooting and problem solving to make sure the rest of RDAP functions well. And I hope you consider joining us.
Yep. I think we're done.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks very much to Sawyer, Reed, Matt, and Megan. Foundational work for RDAP. Website development and maintenance is incredibly important. We asked them, all of us have asked them for something or other throughout the year and in the conference. So thank you very much for your help. Happy to have new members. All right, publishing, Ali.
Yes, I'm here. Hello. So I am Ali Kirsten. I'm the chair of the publishing committee, and the publishing committee has two major responsibilities. The first is that we put the newsletter out quarterly to the RDAP membership. And the other thing that we do is we work with the Journal of eScience Librarianship to put out the RDAP special issue, which of course we will also be doing for this summit. So before I focus on what we've done, I do just want to reiterate the call for articles for the either as a commentary or as a peer-reviewed article for the RDAP special issue of JessLib. One of the activities that the publication committee will be doing is that we will be mentoring. If you are a newer author, if you're maybe not fully comfortable with the peer review process yet, we have some mentors from the publishing committee who have volunteered to carry you through that process. So please, if you're a newer author and you'd like to have a good opportunity for a publication, please let us know and we'll pair you up with a mentor. Beyond that, we are also accepting calls for feature articles, which is something that we began this year with the newsletter. And feature articles are about 500 words and can be on a variety of topics. And all you have to do to pitch or submit a feature article is simply send it to our email address, which I will place in the chat momentarily. But we do invite anybody, whether you are an RDAP member or not, to submit a 500-odd word feature article. Your experience at the RDAP Summit would be a great subject for that. So yes, publishing committee, this is what we do. We would love to have new members. So if any of this sounds of interest to you, please do volunteer for this committee. We don't have a co-chair. And that's not necessarily something that needs to stay that way forever. So I would be happy to have somebody ascend into a co-chair role at some point, or just have a bit more smoother transition. Yes, Rachel has put the email in the chat. Thank you, Rachel. So that is where you can get in touch with us if you have any questions or if you'd like to submit a feature article. So I think that's about it for me. Go ahead and roll on.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Ali. All right. Thank you very much for all the efforts in publishing, of course. All right. So Shannon and Courtney, education and resources.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Sheridan, and I am one of the co-chairs for the Education and Resources Committee. And I am joined by Courtney Kearney, who is my co-chair. So the Education and Resources Committee has two main functions throughout the year. The first is that we are the committee that is in charge of coordinating the educational initiatives that happen outside the summit. So when you're seeing the webinars come through the listservs, we're the group that organizes that, the journal club that happens monthly, which some of you may have attended earlier today, That's also run by our committee. We also evaluate and put on the workshops that happen here at the summit. So if any of you partook of those on Monday, that is also our committee. We put out the calls. Our committee is the one that reviews all of them and really make sure that we're trying to spread the educational joy to all of the RDAP members. So some of the programs that we've done to date, we had a fall webinar on the sustainability of data curation services. We have our ongoing monthly journal club, and we have more to come this spring. When we were putting the finishing touches on this slide, we were still waiting to confirm up some dates and reviewing some of the spring proposals for the webinars. So those will be coming soon. And we actually have the date and time for one, which is on April 14th, and it is going to be about managing data for evidence synthesis projects. So keep an eye out because the registration will be coming out for that soon. And Courtney, if there's anything else you'd like to add, we are always looking for new members to join the committee. So if you're interested in helping coordinate and run and work on education initiatives, this would be a great group for you to get in touch with. So let us know if you have any questions. We're more than happy to answer them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Shannon. All right, membership, Jonathan and Katie.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Bohan. I'm the co-chair of the membership committee. Katie Barrick wasn't able to be here today. Just want to point out that we are a full committee, but some people will be rolling off this year, including myself and Katie. So if you're interested in helping RDAP members with their various needs, please consider joining. So in the last year, we launched paid membership tiers, which has gone pretty well, I think. We launched the Summit Scholarship Program and helped support 21 attendees. Planned and hosted the new member event during the summit, which was the second year we did that, and it went very well, I think. And we developed the Summit Buddies program and matched mentors and mentees. For next year, some of the things that will be planned are to establish a process for giving awards. We considered doing that this year, but weren't able to make it happen. So hoping for next year. We need to run a membership drive and another new members event. And we will work with the marketing committee to highlight members in blog posts. And so please email membership@rdapassociation.org if you're interested in learning more or joining. And that's it for me.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Okay, and lastly, I believe, and certainly not least, Monica and Aaron to tell us about our newest action committee.
Hi there, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if Monica's here, but I will get started at least. So my name is Erin Cadillo. I'm from Virginia Commonwealth University, and with Monica Ely, I am co-chair of the DEIA, the new action committee, and it's a real honor to be that. So we just convened like late last year, and we didn't actually meet as a committee until this year. So we've had a couple of meetings, and because we're a brand new committee, our first charge was to put together a best practices document for the committee, saying what we do and how, and it's obviously going to be a work in progress. But we've also been looking at the reports from the task force and the survey results that the task force did and the diversity plan they drafted. And our next step will be to identify, to finish the diversity plan, obviously have a plan for implementing it, working across RDAP with all the other action committees, and identifying areas to start with. One of the biggest areas of concern that came from y'all from the survey was recruitment. So we are thinking we might want to start there with the membership committee. And I think that is it. And if Monica is here and wants to pipe up, she can. Thank you.
Monica is present. I didn't believe I saw her on the panelist list.
I believe she's not able to join us today.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Well, we're very happy. Thank you very much, Erin. We're very excited to have this newest action committee to help RDAP as a whole, all of its action committees and the executive board, make sure that all of our activities are thinking and incorporating issues and concerns about diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism and all the work we're doing. So we're very excited about this. Okay, so those are all of our action committees. If you're new to RDAP and you're interested in being involved more in the community, this is a great way to do it. Just being involved in the action committees, jump in, figure out what your level of involvement can be, but come in and get involved and meet other RDAP members and help the community along. It's a great way to work. Involved in the community. So I'm gonna try not to press the button and hear a bunch of sound applause, but yay for all your action committee members and action committee chairs for all the hard work that they've been doing this year. We're very happy. Like really, this is how the value for the membership in the community is created. It's through the action committees and through all the members who join and help and contribute to all the wonderful work we do here. So fantastic work, and we're so happy that things are going so well, and I'm sure that we'll expect and see great things in the next year. I did it anyway. Next one. Okay, so location of the next summit. Amy already mentioned this. The location will be virtual. And give a little bit of background on this. This is the most fun decision for a organization to make these days, as you can imagine. Not an easy decision and not a unanimous decision. But in the end, what wins out is concerns around certainty and uncertainty. So we don't know what the world will look like in March 2023. If you know what the world will look like in March 2023, please tell me. I want to know. I'd like to know what's going to happen in the next 12 months. So the easiest thing for us to do is keep doing things the way we've been doing it. It'll be easier for us to deal with. Some people will not have travel budgets. The travel budgets may not bounce back. We don't know whether if we try to do something in person, whether it would pan out. There have been a lot of organizations who tried that this year and had to pivot and created a bunch of work for the conference planning folks and for the organizational leadership, trying to not give more burdens to the folks who are running things. I mean, everybody, including especially Tess and Amelia, will attest to. It's a lot of work putting these on, and we don't need to give them more work. So that's kind of where it boils down to in making this choice to remain online next year. We will see what happens next year, so that's where it comes down at this point. Yeah, so online again. And what real great benefit of this, of course, is that we can be much more accessible to a wider group of people and have international participation, as we did this year and we did the last year. And these are positives of doing it in this format. So let's keep those in mind as we go ahead. Okay, so we're early, and that's great, and nobody minds when you keep it short. But happy to answer any further questions we have. I know that there were some in the Q&A, but they may have been answered already. But if there's other questions or other discussion points, certainly happy to talk a little bit about them.
Thanks, John. Just going to want to say a big thank you to everyone who participated in the summit this year and volunteered for the summit and helped put it together. It was a big team effort within our conference planning committee, the volunteers, and all the committees that you have heard from today. And we look forward to seeing you next year. There's going to be a survey coming out with your feedback, which we do use, like we bring back posters, and we had more social time. We had a conference planning conference platform. So we really do listen to what you tell us that you would like to see. And the recordings and materials are going to be available in OSF and YouTube as soon as they are ready. And you will have access to the Hua platform for the next 3 months. So if there's anything that you want to save or capture from those great resources that are being shared in the discussion boards, or any copies of slides or posters, just remember to do it in the next 3 months. All right. See you next year.
Thanks to all of you for joining. We couldn't have an RDAP Summit without all of you participating. Thank you, guys. Thank everybody.